Hello, good morning, and here's an unscripted Saturday morning podcast. So you're all very welcome on this kind of unplanned but necessary stream, given the remarkable circumstances of the past 24 hours. So let me just get things set up here, folks, for you. Okay, good morning to all of you. Good morning, Matrix, Tebeth, Chris, June, Lee, Helena, Jean, you're all very welcome. So I obviously wasn't planning to do this. I like to try to get a little break, but sometimes things happen that you've just got to talk about. And I've got plenty to say. And this morning, it's just me on my own. So I hope that's going to be okay for you folks. And I obviously want to talk about the incredible crackdown on free speech that happened in the last 24 hours. So I've got a few things I wanted to share with you folks. Hi, Ozzy, by the way, good to see you. And here is the first thing I just want to remind you folks about. You see, a lie doesn't become truth. And wrong doesn't become right, and evil doesn't become good just because it's accepted by a majority. And the times in which we live, folks, are making all those things even more crucial than ever. Let's talk about this, shall we? Yeah, Twitter. And you know what I'm going to talk about? Yeah, you know this one's coming. This 88.7 million followers yesterday. Today, no followers. And of course, as you know, the news is that Twitter has deleted the account permanently of the sitting United States President, Donald Trump. I really don't know what I can say. I mean, when I say it out loud, it's really hard to even conceive. So we and actually, it just isn't President Trump. Oh, hi, by the way, John, good to see you. Jean, also on the stream. So the oligarchs, Dorsey, has taken down the United States president, and of course, if you're unfortunate enough to be over on Twitter, you will see the mass celebrations from that absolute swamp, which is Twitter. They're delighted. They're so happy that free speech is being taken away. Hi, Andrew, Paul. And this is the reality of the political left. What they want is just to shut you down. That's how they work. Chris calls it out here. Jackboot Dorsey. Well, of course, Chris, as you know, I'm able to stream this to Facebook and to YouTube because I've not been banned by those platforms, but I was banned by Twitter myself last September. And I was banned because I spoke truth. And on Twitter, you're not allowed to speak truth. That's the reality of it. That's the way the lefties want it. They celebrate, they run around like rats in a swamp, fundamentally celebrating the demise of free speech. And by the way, just in case, you know, it wasn't just Donald Trump himself who was taken out. If you have a look, some of these names you'll recognize. Here we have General Flynn. He was taken out, over 1 million followers. Lynn Wood was taken out. Sidney Powell was taken out. I'm not sure who Code Monkey said is, but certainly Sidney Powell. Essentially, those close supporters to President Trump were also removed from Twitter. So Heather's saying, by the way, Parler is closed. It's not, Heather, it was down, but depending how you access it, it's very much back up. And if I would obviously recommend everyone gets on Parler and gets on Gab, because those are the only hope that we have, two free speech platforms. But Twitter has excelled itself, Twitter in particular. And yes, Chris, oh, by the way, Chris points out, if you enjoy this, you're going to get much more tonight because I'm actually the guest reviewer on Hearts of Oak tonight at 8 p.m. I think it is, Chris. Don't know if you've got the link, but yeah, I'm on Hearts of Oak tonight. So do tune in then. But anyway, hi, Pookie, by the way. Good to see you, Simon. Yeah, I understand, folks. I understand all the weaknesses of Parler. I know it's not as swish. I know it's slow. I know it's not as engaging. I understand all that, but it's free. It allows free speech. It allows people like me, people like Katie Hopkins, people like Tommy Robinson, people like Stefan Molyneux. All of us were banned in the cull of 2020. We're over there. We're still saying the same things, and that's why I hope you will follow us on the likes of on Parler, as well as Gab. Actually, I'm going to substantially increase my activity in Gab as well, and you will, of course, see my video output also on Rumble and on Bitchute. You'll also see a big revamp of my streaming from hopefully Monday. You'll see big changes happening there as well. So we're not going to put up with this cancel culture from the left. We have to understand from an American point of view, the Twitter, Facebook and YouTube are basically now, they're just the techno end of the Democrat Party. They're out to crush anyone who's the enemy of the Democrats. That's why conservatives get banned and lefties don't get banned. That's been the way it has actually for some time. One of my regrets is that President Trump didn't do more to tackle Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube when he had the chance. But he fluffed that. He didn't do it, and that chance is now gone. You know, it won't. These huge techno companies think that Jane's got the right attitude. Actually, no surrender. You're right, Jane. We mustn't. You're dead. You know, that's so true. We mustn't roll over because these big tech tyrants want us to roll over, and we mustn't shut up regarding that. Regarding our right to say what we think. And we're not going to cow down. We're not going to bow down either. Heather says she's shaking her head. Who would have thought that free speech would be attacked in the USA and the UK? I think, Heather, it's being attacked in the USA and the UK because those are some of the last few places where it actually flourished. That's the reality to this. But Matrix, I'm not sure about, I've heard a lot about... sorry, just going to put up your comment. Jack will be arrested and all his assets taken. Patriots know these egg moves were coming. I've heard a lot about this. I've heard a lot about the plan. Trust the plan. I've heard all this stuff. It's not working out too good so far. But maybe, I'm extremely cynical about exactly what the great plan against this is. Trump was in office. He had power. He should have acted against Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And maybe it's very difficult for him to do, but he didn't, only towards the very end. And by then it was too late. But look, regardless, I don't want to argue about this one. Someone says, I'll be entering politics very soon as a direct result of this kind of corruption. Well, I mean, this is cancel culture on steroids, isn't it? No matter how you look on this one, any sensible person on the left would be appalled at this, but most of them aren't sensible. That's why most of them are dancing a little jig of joy this morning. And honestly, as regards Twitter, it's not a place to be. It is an absolute cesspit of hatred. And I'm surprised that people still actually try to stay on it and grow their accounts. There's no chance of that. Twitter's not interested in any conservative opinion that challenges the narrative. In fact, actually, just like YouTube, and on YouTube, if you're listening to me on this one, there's certain things I can't talk about because we all know that the US presidential was won fair and square. We all know that, don't we, on YouTube? And on Facebook, we mustn't for one moment question the orthodoxy concerning COVID-19, because that would be plain wrong, wouldn't it? Facebook. And as I say, I can't say anything whatsoever on Twitter because they took me off Twitter. So, I can relate to the president this morning, actually. Donald Trump and I share something in common. We've been erased from Twitter social media. But I see your comments, folks, and I know that you pretty much... well, here's a very good comment from Chris. Once China gets its grip on Biden's America, it will only get worse. Well, the reality is, Chris, in my view, China has already achieved that. I've got to be careful what I say because bear in mind that these platforms I'm broadcasting on are untrustworthy. So that's why I have to have to say things. Simon, I couldn't possibly comment on these things, whether I was winking or not. But I have to say, the sooner we get free speech platforms where we got where I can live stream without worrying about saying something that will offend a fact checker somewhere, the better. Because that way you can get the unexpurgated, my version of the truth. I understand, I've continually said to you folks, I know I get things wrong. I know I make mistakes, all of that. But at the end of the day, I only offer you a set of opinions. You're perfectly entitled to disagree with me and take issue with me. That's fine. That's the essence of free speech. Twitter doesn't want that. Facebook and YouTube don't really want those things either, to be honest. So the reality is, and Nikki calls it right, China owns the UK. We're all screwed. Well, Nikki, I have to agree with you on that one. My view is, and I've said this for quite a long time now, that China, well, I said, actually, I parlayed last night. This comment seemed to go down well. I used to think that China was our main enemy. I now think that Silicon Valley is our main enemy. I don't know if you agree with me in that, but when I see the United States president, and he still is a president until January the 20th, when I see him being taken down, it's like unbelievable, frankly. And, sorry, Lee saying to me, DLive is good for streaming. Yes, Lee, I need to understand DLive better. I've actually got a producer joining me from next week. So I think you'll see, Lee, hopefully on things like DLive and things like hopefully soon to come Parler and Rumble, I will be able to do these things. But bear in mind that the people who took Donald Trump off Twitter, they want to take all of these other free speech platforms away as well. Like this, their work is is by no means finished. Ireland's pacifist states here, the commies bragged about destroying without firing a bullet. You're dead right. The lefties have taken the universities. Universities are dangerous places for free thought. Isn't that such a shame? But that's the reality of it, in my opinion. So, our institutions are rotten to the core. And I know a lot of people will be kind of depressed this morning, and I see it. I've seen it on social media. People saying, "Oh, what's the point?" There's every point. We do have to resist. We do have to continue to speak up. And frankly, if they take us down on one platform, we pop up in another. That's just the reality of it. When Twitter took me down, it wasn't the end of my world. In fact, as I keep saying to people, it was such a merciful release because it's full of the very worst people you will ever meet. For example, I contrast that with Parler, where inevitably most of the people that I encounter there are very nice people, funny people, principled people, patriotic people, people committed to truth, people with faith, people with across the spectrum. But the one thing they all have in common is that there's a decency there that's completely and absolutely absent from Twitter. And so, Donald Trump, I know he used Twitter to so fantastically, so magnificently to get himself into the White House. But the swamp was determined to take him down. And that is essentially what you finally saw. The final stage of that was last night. Now, I know he's talking this morning about, I've seen him tweeting, he didn't tweet it, but there was a comment that he made talking about perhaps starting his own platform. I think that's such a rookie. I disagree with that. I think he should invest in existing platforms. Other people have said, President Trump or Donald Trump, this isn't about social media platforms. This is about saving the United States. Now, Arnad asked me, sir, do you think that Indian conservatives should form alliance with Western conservatives? I absolutely do. One of the other great countries where democracy still flourishes is India. So I totally favor as many links between India, the UK, and the United States. And, at one point, I had hopes that there would be a continuance of the Modi-Trump axis. That's not going to happen now. Biden is an enemy of India. Indians need to understand that. That will become clear. India is in the back pocket. Biden is very much influenced by Chinese thinking. And we'll not talk about Hunter. We just generally say that because, wink, wink, we have to watch what we say on these when I'm live streaming in these channels. So you're just reading some of your comments here. I'd like to bring your blessings, David. We're doing all our best. These elites have been doing this since the pharaohs. You're right, actually, Jane. Actually, that's a really good point, Jane. This has been going on from the beginning of time. This is what authoritarians do. They hate it when people like you and me speak. They hate that. And so they try to shut us down. Why? Because they don't have any arguments to counter us. They're incapable of countering us. But they do have, in the case of the oligarchs in Silicon Valley, the ability to shut us down. I'm laughing at this comment from Nikki here. I'm not going to, Nikki, you'll forgive me if I say it out loud, but everyone can see it, and I think we know what you mean. Yeah, it would be shocking, wouldn't it? Anyway, who knows what lies in store? And of course, at the same time as we have all this Silicon Valley censorship hitting, and I understand, by the way, there was 4 million conservative accounts removed from Twitter last night. Not just Donald Trump and General Flynn and Sidney Powell, Lynn Woods. No, 4 million accounts, I'm told, were removed from Twitter. Actually, it's what you would expect. So that's where we are with the censorship that we saw. And at the same time, actually, someone mentioned the riot was a setup. Well, Elizabeth, just on that, I wanted to show you. A lot of people were talking about what we saw, the scenes at the Capitol building in DC, and the rioting. It was awful, wasn't it? I wanted to show you some peaceful protesting. So here is some. Mainly peaceful protesting anyway. There you go. Look at all that peacefulness. Can you see that tranquility? Can you see that all that kindness? That was on the streets of course, Portland, or one of the many other cities that the left put on fire. And naturally, even though those cities burnt and people died, it was defined by the media as fiery if peaceful protesting. This is the same media who have had a collective hissy fit over what happened at the Capitol building when some Americans got annoyed about the fact that democracy had been stolen. I mean, how dare they? They should have just shut up, shouldn't they? Shut up for their own good. So yes, Nikki, peaceful fire setting. You're absolutely right. So I mean, the other thing is, by the way, I didn't want to let this one go without comment, but I'm not going to be on much longer, but just on this one. Did you see that I don't know if I can bring this one up, the British government continues to amaze me, in the sense of it kind of, it gets, I'm going to see if I can if I can share a screen with you, if I'm able to do this. I wanted to share this. So this is our good friends at the BBC in the UK this morning, and this is mind-blowing. So I want to know what you think of this. So I'm going to just share the screen right now. Here you go. Got that? Act like you've got the virus, the government urges. Yes. And you might say, what the hell does that mean? Well, people in England are being told to act like they have got COVID as part of a new government advertising campaign aimed at tackling the rise in infections. So, you got that? You got that? Act like you've got the virus. This is amazing stuff from this so-called conservative government. The reality is that a massive percentage of the UK population hasn't had the virus and won't have the virus. But the government is suggesting that the entire population should act as if it has. And that's why today, here, and I'm sure it's the same where perhaps most of you live, we are in a complete lockdown scenario where the most shops are closed. Many people are being told us, but we're back to where we are with Boris Johnson. Stay at home, save the NHS, protect lives. Absolute garbage. But that's what the Prime Minister is saying. And now they're running the campaign, act like you've got COVID. This is unreal stuff. And, as people like Ivor Cummings would point out, it's anti-scientific. It's anti-rational, actually. Why would you act as if you've got something when you haven't got something? And the likelihood of you ever getting it are extremely remote. And the likelihood of you actually taking extremely ill with it are even more remote. And the chances of you dying with it are even more remote again. This is reality. This is an interesting comment from Luca. The British government and Sadiq Khan are pushing for outdoor compulsory masks. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me. Paul makes a very good point. Here's a good one. Paul says, hang on, gotta bring this up, Paul. The stream's moving fast. COVID is being nominated for the Nobel Prize for eradicating the flu. Well, actually, Paul, one of the things I have talked about is the fact that the reason why the flu, in my view, has all but disappeared globally, and it has all but disappeared globally, is the COVID virus is a stronger, more aggressive strain of a respiratory disease. And I think there is scientific evidence that suggests that such strains come along and they fight to compete in your body. And that's why basically you're seeing the erasure of the flu. But this whole business about acting like you've got COVID is honestly, it's beyond words to me. I don't know what you folks think about it. I'm just trying to, sorry, there's so many comments. It's hard for me to just read them all. So you do forgive me if I miss your comments. Andy says, can't wait for the truth bomb drops tonight on the BBC at 6. Yeah, we've been lying to you for 10 years. Not sure what that means. Luca said, I'm in Belfast, and NI in Belfast is dead quite. Yeah, absolutely, Luca. Belfast. Well, I haven't been in Belfast. I might take a drive there, of course. Oh, you can't do that because if you drive more than 10 miles from home, guess what? The PSNI, that's the local police or the COVID police, they will stop you and they will fine you unless you've got a good reason to be out. So we've moved in 2021 into a situation where President Trump is banned from Twitter. 4 million other conservatives are wiped off Twitter. Free speech is essentially now dead on that aspect of social media. Here in the UK, we're being told to act as if we have a disease which we don't have, to increase the fear-mongering. We're being locked up. The police are patrolling the roads to make sure we don't actually travel out. That is 2021. How's that looking to you then? Is that looking like a good start to the new year? And trust me, when the Biden regime gets in, things into full power, and they're going to have, I believe, a supermajority. They'll have control of the Senate, the control of the House, they'll have the White House, they've got the media, they've got Hollywood, they've got the establishment, they've got Wall Street. That's what the left has. The only thing that Trump had fundamentally was his Twitter account, and that's why it was taken down. So, hi, Peter, by the way, good morning to you. Thanks for coming on the stream. Really good turnout, by the way. Thank you all very much for being part of this morning. I know Saturday mornings isn't the ideal time, but hey, what else are you going to do? I mean, one of the things I was going to say, well, you can always go to the shops, but you can't because they're closed. I was in two major supermarkets yesterday, by the way. Shelves were pretty empty of frozen goods and also of chill goods as well. That border up the Irish Sea is working so well, Boris. Thanks for that. We really appreciate the fact that, in fact, actually, I think I can share this with you as well. Let me see if I can do this. Here we go. Watch this. Here's some good news for Marks and Spencer's fans out there. Let me share this with you. Oh, look. Marks and Spencer's temporarily cut hundreds of products in Northern Ireland. Hundreds of products which we won't be having. I really appreciate that, Boris. Thank you so much. But that's the mess that we've fallen into. Oh, hi, Bobby, by the way, Bobby Baxter. Good to see you on the stream, by the way. Thanks for your support on Facebook. Facebook is a tough gig for me these days. I realize my time on Facebook is limited, but I have to be very particular what I say. If you want to hear what I say without the censorship, without the caveats, do make sure you follow me on Parler. Do make sure you follow me on Gab. Do make sure you watch my videos on Rumble and on Bitchute, because those aren't censored. And it's not that I'm any more vehement, if you like, but we don't have to have all the little caveats. And it's the little caveats that bother me. By the way, here's a question for you. Do you know why President Trump was banned? Do you know the reason why President Trump was banned last night by Twitter? So anyone know? Quick quiz. I'll tell you in a second, but I just wondered if you had got the information. No. Okay. The reason President Trump was banned from Twitter last night was because he tweeted that he would not be attending the inauguration on the 20th of January. That was the specific tweet that was referenced. And after that tweet, he was suspended permanently. So isn't it amazing? So just because President Trump doesn't want to go to Biden's coronation, he's removed from Twitter. So Eileen makes a very good point, by the way. I completely agree with you, by the way. Time for people to support local. Plenty of fresh farm veg, meat, etc., without importing from anywhere else. I absolutely agree with you. Where we can, we should support local shops. We should support small shops, convenience stores. We should support them 100%. That is absolutely right. Ruth asks, how is that inciting violence? It's not, Ruth. They just wanted an excuse to take the president down. So that was the last tweet that he did. Actually, the last tweet, I'm going to bring this one back up again. The last tweet that Team Trump did before they were taken down from Twitter. This was the last tweet. Isn't it a great one? And doesn't it sum it all up? Because ultimately, that, folks, is what we're now being ruled by, and you understand it, and I understand it. That the big tech companies, the oligarchs in Silicon Valley, have sent a signal that's been heard all around the world. The signal is, we will take you down if we don't like what you say, and that, unfortunately, is the reality of life in early January 2021. Makes you wonder what else lies ahead. Richard says Parler has been removed from Google Play Store. I think Richard has been temporarily removed, but they're absolutely out to get Parler. But I think Parler, will survive. I mean, I've got a substantial following over in Parler. I think there's about 65,000 people follow me in Parler. So, I mean, that's a decent show. That's growing by the thousands every week. So, if Parler keeps there, I'm sure I'll have over 100,000 followers on Parler. I need to build my Gab following up, but I will be doing that. I want to build my Bitchute following. I want you to follow me in Rumble as well, but you'll get lots of stuff coming next week that will make these things. This is just me. This is like a fireside chat, just you and me this morning, right? Next week there'll be a bit more fataz about the streams and whatnot, and it'll make it easier for you folks to do the things that need to be done to make sure that these little video things get decent reach. But Luca says there are other links where to download Parler from. There is. I mean, it's still on the. I think Luca still on the Apple Store. Still on the Apple Store. I'm very keen on Parler. I think it's a really great platform. So is Gab. I've spoken to both the guys that own Gab and also Parler, and they're really great free speech individuals. There's John over at Parler, and on Chris on Gab. The chap that runs that is another really, really good guy. These are great people. These are great platforms. President Trump doesn't need to start, in my opinion, another platform. What he needs to do is bring some of his money, his wonderful views, and bring them to platforms like Parler and Gab. That's what I hope. So look, that's kind of it from me, folks. As I said, good to see so many of you on. Thanks for coming along on this Saturday morning. I don't know what it's like with you folks, but it's freezing outside here. Absolutely, that's why I've got my thick winter woolen wear on. So I will be going for a walk. Whilst we're still allowed to walk, but don't worry, PSNI, don't worry, Stormont Executive. It'll not be any further than 10 miles from my residence. And honestly, you can check that on Google Maps if you want. So I will be going out for a walk, actually, trying to keep fit, despite the government trying to keep me unfit and unhealthy. I will be back tonight on Hearts of Oak. Hope you'll join me then. I'll be back with a vengeance on Monday night with my usual Monday night guest, Rebecca Butler. Looking forward to that. The plan is, I think, for Monday night, I want to talk to you about education. One of the things that, and I'm sure you'll all agree with me in this one, folks. Yeah, the education of young people. Like all of us in this stream were young once. Some of you a lot more recently than me, perhaps, but we were all young once. And our education is fundamental to our chances of being able to prosper and, have a good life and look after those that we love. So education is crucial. One of the things that I find most annoying, most offensive, is under these lockdown measures, essentially the schools will be closed, as you know, for at least a couple of months, maybe longer. The summer exams are all being done away with. It's just going to be teacher-driven assessments. But how can the teachers assess if they never actually physically get to see the teachers, the students one-on-one? I want to talk about the consequences for the well-being and education of our young people of lockdown, because I think they're severe. And actually, for what it's worth, the consequences for teachers as well, because not all teachers are wanting to sit in their backsides at home. Some teachers want to teach. That's all being screwed up. So we need to talk about that. So I think that's what I'll tackle on Monday night. Although who knows, the way things are happening, folks, between now and Monday night, there may be further societal revolutions and changes. But anyway, the voice is going here. I don't have a drink to hand. So on that note, thank you for being part of the stream. Do make sure you follow me. Do make sure, by the way, if you're watching this in YouTube, give it a thumbs up. Hopefully. If you like it in YouTube, give it a thumbs up. That helps YouTube recognize that people engage with my channel. So please, thumbs up if you've enjoyed this. If you haven't, well, give it a thumbs down. Your choice. And similarly on Facebook as well, make sure that you share these things so that that I survive on these platforms as long as possible. I'll see you tonight on Hearts of Oak at 8 o'clock. And look forward to you then. Look forward to that then. In the meantime, that's it from me. Goodbye for now.